say a couple of words about this whole idea of faith. We talk about faith as a journey, often, especially during Lent. Well, one of the things that I think faith is not, it's not something that we have, that we can wrap up in a box and put a ribbon around it, and put it away so we can preserve it and save it and protect it. It's not something we take on vacation with us, or especially that we can somehow put in our little bag and bring to church on Sunday morning. It is a quest. And this will not be the first time you hear someone say that in this first part of this introduction. Faith is a journey. It's a process. It's a part of our life. And we always say, no matter who you are, what do we say? Or where you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. You know, and that includes all of our questions, all of our doubts, all of our wonderings, all of our baggage that we carry. Maybe we need a bellhop at church to help us bring in our baggage. So we know it's okay to bring it in and put it out around us while we're here together as a community. So we're going to hear Brian McLaren, who was the founder of a church in Laurel a long time ago. Started out as an evangelical church, and Brian has progressed in his faith journey to someone very, very different than the person who started that church. He's no longer their pastor, and I'll say more in a few minutes about him, but he will talk about faith as a quest, a journey of seeking God and being as fully alive as we can. So during this series, we're going to be asking a variety of questions. Who is God for me? What does it mean to be a spiritual person? We hear a lot about, well, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. What does that really mean and look like for us? What does it mean to follow Jesus? Who is this character anyway, and what are his expectations? What is salvation? A word we don't talk about very much, not in this congregation anyway. But we're going to explore that and discover in a way that we might find a way we can talk about that, or a new way of even discover how it is that we actually do understand it. What does the cross tell us about God? Is the Bible worth reading over and over again? Or you just read it once and put it on your shelf? Or not read, just read parts. And then the last one is, why go to church? Why is church important? And today we settle on who is God for me. So let's listen and watch as Brian McLaren talks to us about this question. He's going to use, I'll just warn you, he's going to use two really big words, and you're going to know, what's that got to do with God? But don't get put off by those two words, because they're two words that help characterize the way we might think about God. After Brian left his church in Laurel some 10 or 15 years ago, he started writing books. And he's still writing books and speaking, and he has progressed in his theology and his understanding of justice to a place that you would all be pretty comfortable with him. One of my favorite books of his is called A Generous Orthodoxy. Why I am a missional, evangelical, post-Protestant, liberal, conservative, mystical, poetic, biblical, charismatic, contemplative, fundamentalist, Calvinist, Anabaptist, Anglican, Methodist, Catholic, green, incarnational, depressed yet hopeful, emergent, unfinished Christian. That's going to be maybe what we're going to be about for these 7 weeks. Why we are all of those kinds of Christians. But Brian will talk to us today about the question, is God real? What are our images of God? Faith as a quest, and how do we talk about God? Watch and listen. Turn to a neighbor for a moment. If it's you're sitting next to your spouse, and we've talked about this 100 times in concert, turn to the person behind you or in front of you, or if you want to have this conversation, I want you for just a minute to share with each other what your right now, what your best image of God is. Okay? Just that's all I want you to do, just for a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to interrupt you, and we'll go from there. What is your best image of God? If some of you would be willing to share briefly your image that you were sharing with your partner, or what you heard in your conversation. Who'd like to offer that to the rest, so that the rest of us could hear it? But not a fog.
But not a fog.
No, not like Brian says.
Definitely floating in a certain direction or together.
Okay, all right.
Is the microphone on?
Yes.
Okay.
Who else? Is the microphone on? Yes, it's on. Who else has one? All right, Matthew.
My partner was the lovely Pat Hamberg, and while I did not have one image of God, she said that she recognizes God in creation. I was told that her and Pastor Jerry live on a hill, and so they have a great view, and they can see when storms are coming or when the sun is doing its thing. And it's at that time, or when you're on your way to work and you're just viewing what exists in the world, naturally, that you realize that God is in that.
All right, thank you. Lovely, Pat. John?
Christina and I talked, and we both agreed that we kind of grew up thinking about God in a more traditional image, like someone who's judging us after death, or a parent, is what Christina said. But then she said, and I said I agreed, I'm trying to think about it more like this, in what I think we often think of as a less traditional way. She said that the Orthodox tradition has more the second role there of, you're never going to understand God. You're just never going to be able to grasp that. And when you think about it, that is actually kind of a traditional approach, because the whole notion, as we saw in John's Gospel, of Jesus coming is we're never going to get it. We're never going to understand, and so God sent Jesus to sort of illustrate for us and teach us how to live.
Well, when we talked, I remember the time when, for a church project, I was reading a psalm and then meditating, and then rewriting the psalm in my own words. So in the meditation, it was a period of transition in my life, and in some turmoil, and something would happen that would change me. And I would get, because Psalms are very much about feelings, and I would get much my own feelings. But when I rewrote the psalm in my own words, I came out of it in a different place than when I went in. I was doing this on my lunch hour, and I would come out of my lunch hour different. And so to me, it was a transforming presence. I couldn't explain it. I didn't even know if I believed in God, but something happened.
I heard transforming presence, which is made me almost shudder, because it sounded powerful to me. Someone else? Jean?
For me, Jim being a very verbal person, and I can't visualize things well, so it's always struck me with God that, to me, where I found God is when I'm beyond words. It's with music and feeling the harmonies coming together, or being out on the river and the sun comes down, that, or with a person who I can feel the love. And it just seems that words are always too containing, that they are always too limiting and never express what I find or what I'm trying to find
Larry?
I've been in a group for 20 years, and this is one of the main topics of the group, but I just wanted to say one brief thing, if you can do that.
That would be neat. I want to hear this one.
I think it's like the apophatic that you mentioned, which also called nominalism. God is the name that we give to our highest values.
Did you hear that? God is the name we give to our highest values. That's wonderful.
Well, I was reminding people that when I grew up, we had to do the catechism when we did confirmation. And the very first question was, who is God? And the answer was, God is love. And that's just always been my understanding, and I feel like God is in the love and grace that we give to each other.
So this is going to sound a little ridiculous, but this is sort of the math teacher's take on God. If you've ever heard of the book Flatland, so it's obviously a land that's contained in a plane, so everyone is some kind of geometric shape, like a triangle or a circle or a line, but something two-dimensional. And if you can imagine something three-dimensional, like a dog or something, coming through that plane, you would never actually be able to see the entirety of that thing, whatever it is. You could just see little traces of it passing through. But you can never actually know what a dog looks like. Well, I kind of take that analogy to the dimension we live in. So if God is ever passing through our lives, we can never actually see the whole of God, but we can just see these little traces of things that we might recognize as being reflections of God. So.
Thank you.
Sandy and I were partnering, and it was interesting. I think we both grew up in a conservative community, conservative churches, where we had an initial idea that God is an old man with a long white beard or something. And I'm really grateful for this congregation and the inclusiveness of the congregation. And over the years of just trying to get away from the idea of seeing God as exclusively male, that's very important for me, not to think that God is a he. Some years ago, in People of the Covenant, sort of an adult discussion group I was part of here, we did a series on images of God, and the one that's always stayed with me is from the Old Testament of God as a mother hen gathering us under the wings. And I love that feeling of protection and safety. I think that God is love, and I like that. That the overreaching thing in the world is goodness and mercy. And when we feel that, I think we're feeling God.
I'll just say two final things that have emerged for me as I've been thinking about this and reading a variety of things that touch on this subject. And one is to think about this image of the possibility of the impossible. That these little traces of the impossible somehow becoming possibility. Love being so powerful that it's something that we imagine that world peace and all of us loving each other would never happen, but somehow there's a power, there's a force, there's something that suggests that even the impossible is possible. And the final thing is that God's existence is really up to us. And I just want you to chew on that. That God's existence, God's reign in the world, some of these things that we've talked about coming to fruition, really happening, evolving, it's somewhat, not somewhat, but really our responsibility. We can make God exist somehow, the God that we imagine in the world.